So with AI, I mean, just to be clear, are there some AI stocks that you do like and tech? Because I do want to get to financials and healthcare and some of the other areas that you may think are a little better plays here, maybe less volatile. But when it comes to tech and AI, do you hold some of that? Do you like some names in there?
For sure. I mean, some of the big players that we hear about a lot. I think Nvidia's at a discount right now. It's got beaten up a little bit, right? And here in the last couple of weeks, but it's going to do just fine long term. Microsoft is going to be a big player, and then things like semiconductors. Van Eck, we like that ETF a lot because it's got good semiconductor players that are in there, and we're going to need more of that as we move forward. I think those different sectors are going to continue to do very well. They're definitely have our projection of the biggest growth potential for this year.
Yeah, I didn't hear what the ETF was that you liked. What was the ETF that you liked?
Van Eck.
Oh, okay, of the semis. Got it.
Nvidia has received much-needed approval after 3 prominent IT executives expressed their disinterest in DeepSeek and revealed their intention to boost their investments in AI technologies. Friday saw a rise in Nvidia's stock. Amazon announced on Thursday that it will invest $105 billion or 27% more, primarily on AI data centers. However, that was surpassed by Alphabet, which intends to raise its expenditures by 57%, totaling $75 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta Platforms, has previously stated that the company would spend $60 billion to $65 billion on data centers in 2025, a 59% increase at the halfway mark. The majority of AI computation has been powered by Nvidia chips, according to Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. Obviously, we have a deep partnership with Nvidia and will for as long as we can see into the future, he said. Does that mean it's time to buy Nvidia? The pricing performance of Nvidia is starting to become better. After sinking on January 27th, when Nvidia had the largest one-day market cap drop for any public company in history, the relative strength line, which compares the stock to the S&P 500 index, is now climbing. Nvidia and other AI companies fell as DeepSeek emerged as a less expensive alternative to AI technologies. Nvidia has outperformed 87% of other stocks in Investors Business Daily's database in terms of 12-month price performance. China retaliated against U.S. tariffs on Tuesday. The Wall Street Journal reports that over the 4 quarters that concluded in October, 12% of Nvidia's total revenues came from China. However, Stacy Rasgon, an analyst at Bernstein Research, pointed out that Nvidia would not be harmed by the small amount of raw semiconductors that these nations import when President Donald Trump's tariff plans for China, Canada, and Mexico were first announced in November. The tariffs, according to the analyst, do raise some worries about potential wider-ranging action that might harm the semiconductor industry, including industry heavyweights like Nvidia. According to Jordan Klein, a Mizuho analyst, the limitations appear to be reasonable or less stringent than expected. Additionally, fewer firms than anticipated were listed on the limitation list, according to Piper Sandler analysts. China's current tariffs, which will take effect on February 10th, target coal, oil, liquefied natural gas, and agricultural equipment. Interestingly, Nvidia chips and semiconductors were left off the list, despite the implementation of export restrictions on certain rare minerals required in chip production. So, what implications does this have for Nvidia's stock? Let's explore that. But first, a big thank you to those of you who've stuck with us this far. Creating these videos takes significant effort and dedication, so if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts on Nvidia stock in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow. Now, let's get back to the video.
Stacy Rasgon. Stacy, tariff risk in semiconductors. How do you look at it after these new the China back and forth?
Yeah, you bet. So semiconductors actually have very little direct risk from tariffs, at least on these countries, which are China, and then I guess we'll find out at some point Mexico and Canada. The U.S. imports a fair amount. I think in 23, the U.S. imported about $73 billion of total semiconductors. Less than $10 billion came from those 3 countries combined now, out of a $600 billion plus total industry. It's relatively small. So the direct impacts are pretty minimal. There are potential indirect impacts, though, because most semiconductors travel into the U.S. inside other things. And so there can be secondary effects, like if there's demand destruction because the prices of the end products that contain the semiconductors go up, and does that impact demand? And just for an example, China is a pretty sizable importer to the U.S. of things like handsets and compute PCs and servers. Mexico is as well as vehicles and cars. A lot come from Mexico, and Canada. We import a lot of vehicles from Canada as well. So
is it enough to change your view on any of these?
But not directly. What's that?
Does it change your view on any of these? Change numbers?
No.
Change demand? No.
No. To be fair, like we've been looking at tariffs on and off like for years. I think I did my first tariff note in 2019. I think I've done 6 or 7 of them since then. There are very little direct impacts, unless there are like universal tariffs, which clearly could have an impact. But universal tariffs will have an impact on everything, not just semiconductors. So no, I'm not too worried about tariffs, at least not from a direct point of view.
Okay. What about AMD? Stock is up 4% into this report. There was kind of a rethink on these semis, especially tied to the AI stories from DeepSeek. Where are we on that, and what do you expect today?
Yeah, so AMD does report in just a little bit. I think the stock's probably up because I think expectations have come down. You can go look at the share price. It's been under a lot of pressure for a while. And I think investors, everybody's worried about, what is the AI number going to be next year? Are the AI revenues going to decline in Q1 potentially? They were talking about lumpiness last quarter, and I think there's a belief maybe that expectations are now finally low enough where people can maybe take a flyer on it. So I suspect that's why it's up. I think it's just positioning into the print.
Why has it underperformed so much?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Why has it underperformed so much?
Well, you have to remember, you go back 6 or 9 months ago, and people thought, they were guiding at that point for like $2 billion in AI revenues, and they'll wind up doing 5 or so. But I mean, at that point, people thought they were going to do 10 plus, and so expectations just got way out over their skis, and they moderated and came back down to reality, as we went through the year, and that's kind of where we are right now. Personally, I still worry that numbers overall next year could be a little too high. We are below. I'd like to see, again, the sell side AI numbers come down again. I think the buy side, the investors who are investing in the stock, their expectations have now come down for next year. And again, people are looking at what this might be into Q1. I suspect numbers need to come down. I mean, that's what the stock price is reflecting. Numbers were too high, and I think there's a belief going into it maybe tonight that maybe if expectations are low enough, you can take a flyer on it. And at least the valuation is a little more palatable. It was, I don't know, as if yesterday it was something like 25 times forward earnings. I mean, it was, 40 or 45 times if you go back, like I said, 2 or 3 quarters. So it's moderated.
So it's still 150 price target for you on that. What about Nvidia, 175, which is having a little rebound today, but hasn't really come back from last week? Has the narrative changed?
Well, I don't. Personally, I think I said this earlier on CNBC a while back. I think the whole DeepSeek thing, the fears are very much overblown. But that being said, there's an overhang, and like you can't prove a negative, right? You can't prove that it won't be an issue. And if people are now worried that it could be an issue, I mean, that just may take a little bit of time to clear. And you can sort of fold that on top of some of the supply chain issues that they've been having. They're ramping up their new platforms, and these are very, very complicated things. And they're just, they're going to sell every single one that they can get out the door. The question is, how many of them can they get out the door? And so there's some incremental nervousness just around them getting supply chain in order as you go through the year. And couple that with this broader uncertainty around AI and DeepSeek and everything else, it's creating a bit of an overhang on it. I think it was overdone, but.
By 2030, the semiconductor industry's global revenues are predicted to surpass $1 trillion, indicating its strong development trend. Improvements in memory technology, the emergence of automotive semiconductors, regional self-sufficiency programs, purpose-built silicon, and the growing need for artificial intelligence, AI applications, are the main drivers of this growth, according to a report on the sector published by professional services firm PwC. According to the research, the fastest-growing semiconductor market has been memory integrated circuits, ICs, specifically DRAM and high-bandwidth memory, HBM. DRAM is expected to account for 14% of all semiconductor sales in 2024. Through 2028, HBM, which is crucial to AI and high-performance computing, HPC, is anticipated to expand at a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 64% in terms of bit growth and 58% in terms of revenue. In order to successfully integrate logic and memory components, Foundries and memory firms must work together more closely as large corporations use HBM for AI workloads. According to PwC, the adoption of electric cars, EVs, and software-defined vehicles, SDVs, is expected to propel the automotive semiconductor industry, which reached $76 billion in 2023, to increase to $117 billion by 2028. By 2028, power semiconductors, especially those that use silicon carbide, SiC, and gallium nitride, GaN, are predicted to account for 18% of the market, or $6 billion. In the meantime, automotive system-on-chip, SoC revenue, which supports infotainment, advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS, and real-time data processing, was $7 billion in 2023 and is expected to expand at a 17% CAGR through 2028. The COVID-19 epidemic revealed weaknesses in the supply chain for semiconductors, which led to the pursuit of self-sufficiency by major economies. It is anticipated that government financing for semiconductor programs will reach about $400 billion by 2027. By 2030, the U.S. is expected to have invested $348 billion, with $29.5 billion in grants and $25.1 billion in loans already made. China has invested more than $190 billion through its National Integrated Circuit Investment Fund and regional projects, while the European Union has set aside $46 billion for incentives. In order to increase local semiconductor manufacture, South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan have also implemented tax breaks and subsidies. Custom integrated circuits, ICs for particular applications, are in high demand, particularly in data centers, video processing, and network security. The market for bespoke integrated circuits for data centers is anticipated to grow to $24 billion by 2028. AI is a key factor in the semiconductor industry's growth and calls for GPUs, accelerators, and HBM. By 2028, the AI-specific silicon industry is expected to grow to a value of $150 billion. To stay informed about the latest developments from Nvidia and the ever-changing stock market, consider subscribing to our investing tutorial channel. We provide daily updates on significant market shifts and key catalysts, so hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss crucial information. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Nvidia stock, so please share your opinions in the comments below. Now, let's dive into today's video.
Tell me about Microsoft. You did mention Nvidia and Microsoft at the top as two clear leaders. Are Nvidia and Microsoft still leaders in your mind? You would buy them today?
Oh, yeah. I think Nvidia is a table pounder here, despite, obviously the sell-off. 15-to-1 continues to be demand to supply in terms of Nvidia chips. Well, the tariff and other issues, DeepSeek, but that continues to be what I view as one of the core AI plays. Nothing has changed in my view. And I think with Microsoft, right now, sentiment's negative, but it was a capacity issue. The actual AI business on a $13 billion run rate, more and more, this is going to become an AI story. And I think this is just really what I'll call just a pause in what's going to be just a massive growth cycle for Microsoft that the street is underestimating.
Yeah, Google's at highs. We have Google and AMD after the bell. A fan of both of those?
Yeah, get that pop. Maybe if there's some popcorn there, get that popcorn ready for Google. I think it's going to be a robust number in terms of Google Cloud. I think our advertising checks are stronger than expected. And that's one that could have $40, $50 upside here. AMD still a work in progress, but positive on that in terms of the broader story. But obviously, Lisa Su, they need to start to show some traction in terms of some of the AI initiatives.
So you're not seeing the same kind of upside potential for AMD tonight, but you said $40 to $50 for Google. Alphabet. Yeah, that could be a big mover tomorrow. If I had 10 grand, I tried to make it reasonable, right? 10 grand, what should I do with it today?
I think you own Palantir, Tesla, Apple, and Nvidia. And I think that continues to sort of be over the next 3 to 6 months to play.
Nvidia is a company that deals with visual computing. Noting that previous innovation cycles indicate that efficiency and technological advancements spur additional adoption and innovation, JP Morgan recently reaffirmed its overweight recommendation on Nvidia. According to analysts led by Harlan Sur, investors were worried about the short and long-term impacts on AI semiconductor spending following the release of the DeepSeek R1 large language model last week. This was because the Chinese startup claimed to have compute efficiency in terms of cost and performance for training/inferencing AI models. The analysts pointed out that even if DeepSeek's training and inference processes are remarkably cost-efficient, a number of problems still need to be addressed. These include the total cost of R1's training and the degree of dependence on more extensive open-source foundation models that were previously created. The growing need for improved semiconductors, which are essential for applications like artificial intelligence, AI, the Internet of Things, IoT, 5G, and driverless cars, is propelling the market for semiconductor equipment manufacturing worldwide. The market, estimated to be worth USD 103.34 billion in 2023, is expected to rise at a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 7.78% from 2024 to 2033, reaching USD 218.60 billion. Technological developments in semiconductor production, such as the shift to smaller node sizes and increased investments in semiconductor foundries, are major drivers of this expansion. The rise of the market is also being aided by government backing through programs like the European Union's Semiconductor Finance Programs and the U.S. CHIPS Act, which are designed to strengthen domestic production capabilities over imports. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.